We spend more time at work than we do with our other halves. So we need to understand, what is it about our working relationships that makes us feel happy, sad, fearful, or angry? And really, they're the four cornerstone emotions that I talk about when I talk about switched on thinking. It's the happiness factor, the sadness, then we have the fear, and then of course after that we have anger. So let's get anger out the way first of all, shall we? Anger. What is anger? Well, actually, anger anger is an emotion which helps you amplify your resources to get what you want. And if somebody gets in your way and stops you from getting what you want, that's when anger comes into play. It sounds like a spoiled child, doesn't it? But that's exactly what it is, really. It's when we can't get what we want, automatically we go into an angry mode. We go into that mode where we need to get what we want, so we need the extra thoughtfulness, the extra strength, that extra focus, that extra passion. That's where anger comes from. So let's just park that to the side for the moment. Then after anger, of course, we have sadness. And sadness is an emotion from loss, you know. If you've been working a certain way with certain colleagues and things get changed and you're no longer working in that same space, that creates a bit of a feeling of loss. You know, you're sad. You're not feeling the same ways that you used to feel. Does that make sense? And then after anger and sadness, let's get on to fear. Now, fear is a really interesting one because as human beings, we are by default a fear-driven species. And what that means is when we come to do things unconsciously, and some people more consciously than others, we tend to think about what might go wrong. And what that then means is that we then start to think about the future. What might go wrong in the future? And fearful of the future, well, that breeds anxiety. So when people say they're feeling really anxious, what they're really saying is they're worried about the future outcome. What might happen if? You know, and we all know about the if word, that it doesn't really happen until it happens. But from a mind and body point of view, our body interprets that message from our mind and says, okay, well, this is really happening. Because the communication between the conscious mind and the unconscious mind, that point where you start to create and imagine what might go wrong, the messages that the unconscious mind interprets from that is that it's happening in the here and now. There's another situation I like to talk about. It's when people get tied into playing games, you know, and when they're playing online games, they really believe they're there in the moment, in that particular game. And because they're so surrounded in that game, their unconscious mind believes that they too are in that game. So they start to release all the chemicals within your body, like adrenaline and cortisol, which makes you feel like you really are in that game. But actually it's all fake, isn't it? Because it's only a game. But your unconscious mind doesn't understand that. And it's the same with anxiety. When you're creating an event in your mind that something might happen in the future, that's exactly it. It might happen, but your unconscious mind feels that it is happening. And that's why when we suffer anxiety, we get those feelings of uncertainty within our stomach. And then let's move on to the last one, happiness. I don't know about you, but I don't know one single person that's been to the doctors because they're too happy. You can't be too happy, can you? That's the natural default of the here and now of the human being. We can't be happy in the past. Well, we can when the past was the now, but it's gone, isn't it? So, and we can't be happy in the future. Well, we can when the future becomes today, but we can't. We can only be happy in one place. And that's here and now, right here, right now. So we can decide whether we want to be happy or not. And when we become aware of anger and sadness and fear and happiness, you know, the world becomes a much nicer place because we understand. When we see our colleague that's getting really angry, when we then understand, well, it's because they're not getting what they want, not from a sport child point of view, but they're just not getting the support they want. And that's what then comes on to the next things about appreciation. I don't know about you, but whenever I work with people, the most powerful emotion of all really is feeling appreciated, feeling valued, feeling part of the team, feeling that you're bringing something to the table. Appreciation is probably the most powerful motivating factor keeping a team working together in cognition and to achieve that sole purpose of working together to a joint positive outcome that actually we need to achieve as a business. I'll be doing another talk next week all about appreciation. So for this week, I just wanted to introduce the 4 basic key emotions. Anger, can't get what I want. Sadness, I don't have it anymore. Fear, it might all go wrong. And happiness, that's where we are today.